right, you did some research yesterday on the 7 wonders of the ancient world. So let's find out what you discovered. I thought I turned the projector on, but I'm not seeing anything. Hopefully, we'll see when the lights go out. Okay, so let's talk about these different wonders. Well, we'll start with John here. John, what was the first one?
The Great Pyramid of Giza.
Okay, it's Gaza, isn't it? Yeah, Great Pyramid of Gaza. Giza is a different place. Gaza. So what did you find out about the Great Pyramid? You already know about that, but anything that we didn't know from before? Anything interesting, anybody? All the same? Nothing new, John?
World's tallest man-made structure for 4,000 years.
Okay.
And
yeah, 4,000 years, that's a long time. Yeah, go ahead.
And also,
everybody speak real loudly so those that are watching at home can hear the great insights that you have. Go ahead.
It's almost symmetric, like perfect.
Yeah. Okay, good. What's the next one, Noah?
The Hanging Gardens of Babylon.
Okay, we learned a little bit about that just a day or two ago, but I'm sure you found more things than what I told you because there's lots more to know, I imagine. So, what did anybody find out? Anything new? Yeah?
There were like many historical figures that described them as like beautiful and remarkable.
So it wasn't just one source. We had lots of sources telling how beautiful it was. All right, anything else? Zach?
They grew so tall without the help of man watering them.
Oh, so he constructed in such a way that it's self-watered? Is that what you're saying? Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. Anything else? Okay, what's the third wonder, Matthew?
The statue of Zeus at Olympia.
Okay, what do we now we didn't talk about that before, so we should get lots of information here. What did you find out about the statue of Zeus? Go ahead, Matthew, what do you have?
I had that it was a statue of the god Zeus made by a Greek sculptor, Phidias.
Okay, and where was it located?
I didn't.
Anybody? Zach?
I forgot that. It was an island, right?
I don't remember for sure.
So,
Olympia. Okay, that's what I was thinking, but then when you threw me off the island. Olympia would be at Mount Olympus, which is in Greece. Anything else about the statue of Zeus? John?
Skin of ivory and robes of hammered gold.
It's pretty impressive, isn't it? Be very expensive. Anything else? All right, what's the fourth wonder, Griff?
The Lighthouse of Alexandria.
Okay, and let's see, where would that be? Where was the Lighthouse of Alexandria? Griff?
Island of Faro.
Okay, specifically that island which is off the coast of Alexandria. Okay, that's why it's called that. Thank you, Zach. Which is in what country? Oh, do we know where Alexandria is? Oh, it's not on that map. It's near the mouth of the Nile. So it's in Egypt. We haven't gotten to the founding of Alexandria yet, but you can imagine maybe after whom it's named. I won't tax your brains too much to think about that. We'll find out. Okay, anything else about the lighthouse? What did you find out about it? There's some.
It was 330 feet tall.
Okay, 330 feet tall. Mia?
it was like the third tallest human-made structure, and it was like badly damaged in the earthquake.
Yeah, so it's not there now. It's gone. As most of these things are gone. The pyramid is one of the exceptions. Anything else about the lighthouse? Okay, I think I've read that you could see the light from it a very good distance, a long ways away, help to guide ships into the harbor of Alexandria. So it had a very important function. How did they get light? Where did the light come from? In the lighthouse. Anybody find that out? Well, what do you think? Okay. A lot of flashlights up there, a big bulb. What, John?
Like a big fire.
Yeah, fire. Yeah, they didn't have electricity. All right, well, let's see. We've got 4. What's the 5th one, Amelia?
The Temple of Artemis.
Okay, and what do you? Okay, where's that? First of all, did you guys look to see where these things were? Griff, where is that?
Ephesus.
At Ephesus. Yes. It is referenced in the book of Acts, not the temple itself, but the worship of Artemis, also called Diana, the Roman name. So what did you find out about the temple of Artemis?
I had that it was the biggest temple at the time when it was built.
So it's pretty impressive. What else, Mia?
It took over 120 years to build, and it took 1 night to destroy.
Yeah.
It was
And what destroyed it?
a fire. It was burnt the night of Alexander the Great's birth.
Oh, that's interesting. Sort of a portent of things to come, because Alexander would conquer that area. Anything else about the Temple of Artemis? It was a big moneymaker having it there, because people would come from all around to Ephesus to worship Artemis, and the silversmiths would sell a lot of idols of Artemis. And when Paul came and preached the gospel, many people turned to Christ. They weren't buying the idols anymore. So Alexander the silversmith got very upset and caused a mob scene against Paul. And you can read about that in the book of Acts. Okay, Temple of Artemis. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's the 6th one, Mia?
Colossus of Rhodes.
Colossus of Rhodes. Okay, where's that? Anybody? Well, it's on the island of Rhodes, which is near Greece. So what else do you know about the Colossus of Rhodes? What else did you find out? Stephen, what did you find out?
It overlooked the sea almost, and it was still the Statue of Liberty,
Okay, it was built similar to the Statue of Liberty. Okay, what else? It faced the sea, you said? All right, I think did anybody find out what sea? I think it was the Aegean, I'm not positive about that. Yes, Mia?
It was a giant statue of the sun god Helios, made of bronze.
Yeah.
It was destroyed by an earthquake.
Earthquake. Yeah, a number of things in that part of the world, in the ancient world, were destroyed by earthquakes. The city of Philippi that I visited this summer before last. People left there, I think it was 2nd century maybe, because of an earthquake. They just abandoned the whole city. All right, anything else about the Colossus of Rhodes? All right, and was that 7?
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was 6. Okay, Stephen, what's the 7th?
the tomb that Carnassius
Okay, what is that?
is like a giant tomb decorated with fine sculpture and architecture, standing on 135 foot tall.
Okay, pretty big tomb, huh? Who was it for? Yeah.
Mausolus? What is his name?
Spell
Mausolus.
it. Okay, that's not who I was thinking. Mouse. M-A-U-S.
Yeah, O-L-U-S. And then
Mausolus.
Mausolus.
Okay. Interesting thought. I wonder if that's where we get our word mausoleum. look that up. Maybe it comes from Mausolus having this big tomb.
I didn't have Tomb of Halicarnassus. I had Molosseum.
Mausoleum.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, mausoleum, it means a big tomb. All right, anything else you find out about this one? All right, so out of all of these ancient wonders, and these are the Greeks kind of looked around and said, wow, these are the greatest wonders of the world. 7 ancient wonders of the ancient world, 7 wonders of the ancient world. And how many of them do we still have with us today?
1.
Just one. Yeah, the pyramid. The rest of them were all destroyed, mostly by earthquake. I'm not sure there's any. Well, we have one by fire, but that's mostly it. Okay. Now, on the bottom of the page, you were supposed to think, what would you call a wonder of the world today? What would you pick out and say, this is a wonder of the world today? Something that man has built. What did you say, John?
Christ, the Redeemer statue.
Yeah, where's that? It's in South America, on the border of, is it Brazil and Colombia? I'm not sure. I forget now where that is. But have you all seen that? The huge statue of Christ with his arms out on top of a mountain? Amazing. I can't imagine how they got that there. If anybody ever climbs up and cleans it, it's just an amazing thing. I would agree with you on that one. Zach, do you have one?
Statue of Liberty.
Statue of Liberty. That's pretty cool too. Yeah. Matt? I mean, Noah?
Great Wall of China.
The Great Wall of China. Yeah. That was a tremendous feat. And it's been there for hundreds of years. Anybody else? Zach?
Tower.
The Eiffel Tower? Yeah. In fact, I just found this out a few years ago. The guy who built the Eiffel Tower constructed the Statue of Liberty by building an Eiffel Tower inside of it to give it structure. And then he built the Eiffel Tower later, I think. He said, oh, that was pretty cool what I did inside. Nobody could see it. I'm going to build one outside. Any others you can think of?
Taj Mahal.
The Taj Mahal. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Do you know what that was built for originally? That was built as a mausoleum. A huge place for the ruler in that area to put his wife who had died. Took a long time to build that. There's a story, I don't know if it's true or not, that in the process of building this, that he got more and more involved, and all this all this wealth being expended, and all that stuff that's there is beautiful, and he was walking around inspecting, directing and stuff, and he tripped over a box and said, "What is that box doing here?" And someone said, "Sir, that's your wife's casket." He kind of lost sight of what the whole thing was supposed to be about. I don't know if that's really true. Any other modern wonders? Okay, how many of you have seen any of these modern wonders? How many have seen the Statue of Liberty? Yeah, I haven't used it at a distance. What else did, I've seen the pyramid. That's an ancient wonder. That's not a modern one, that's an ancient one. So what were some of the other modern ones? Anybody seen any of the other ones we talked about? Yeah, maybe you will someday. Nobody saw the Eiffel Tower yet? What about, do you think the Washington Monument would fit? That's a wonder, maybe. Okay, well let's wrap up Babylon. We're going to see what happens at the end of Babylon. So turn back to your notes there. And we will conclude our study of Neo-Babylon. New Babylon. Remember that as we were looking at the dream of Daniel and of Nebuchadnezzar, that, and particularly of Daniel as he saw the dream of the different animals that we start out with Babylon, which is the one that's in existence when Daniel is living, or when he has the dream. The next one will be Medo-Persia, and Greece and Rome. And we're going to follow through with those as we proceed. Now there's another dream that Daniel had, which is interesting, and that's the dream of the two goats. Do you remember reading that? This is kind of a crazy thing, but it does tell us something about what's going to happen as well. You've got two goats that are going to be after Babylon. So we've got this goat with two horns, which stands for Medo-Persia. Why? Because it's made up of two nations, Medo and Persia. And then we're told that there's going to be another goat come with just a single horn, and this goat defeats the two-horned goat. It stabs him and kills him. And that represents Greece. And that is what's going to happen. Alexander the Great is going to come along and defeat the Medo-Persian Empire. All right, so we put all these together. Nebuchadnezzar's dream about the statue, Daniel's dream about the different beasts, and then the goats, and this is what it looks like as we compare the different visions. So we've got the head of gold, which is Babylon, and that's also the lion in chapter 7. We have the chest of arms of silver, which is Medo-Persia, having two arms, Medo-Persia, and then the bear, lopsided, that's Medo-Persia, and then that's the ram or the goat with two horns. Then we have Greece, the belly and thighs of bronze, which also is the leopard and the one-horned goat. And then we have Rome, the legs of iron, and then he's also the terrifying beast. All right, so that's looking at all three of those together. Any questions? All right, now at the same time that we're looking at here, as Nebuchadnezzar ends his reign, Rome took its first census, and they had almost 85,000 citizens in Rome. So as we've gone along, and we've seen Rome at different times here in relationship to what's going on in Babylon, Rome is beginning to grow, it's beginning to get more civilized, and you can see that it's going to be a force in the future. All right, now we want to come back to looking at the kings. We started out with Nabopolassar, and then Nebuchadnezzar. He is the most important king of the Neo-Babylonian Empire. And then the person who follows him is his son, Evil-Merodach, or Evil-Merodach. He began a short rule upon Nebuchadnezzar's death in 562 BC. Now, he released Jehoiachin. Remember Jehoiachin? Who was Jehoiachin? Who was Jehoiachin? Are you reviewing your notes? John, who's Jehoiachin?
Wasn't he one of the rulers of Egypt?
No, not even close, unfortunately. Mia?
The son of Jehoiakim.
He's the son of Jehoiakim. Okay, who is he?
He was the one. He was one of the last kings of Israel.
Not Israel.
Judah.
Judah. Jehoiakim. Get this. I don't know. You guys either have extremely short memories or you're not looking at this material past the time that I'm giving it to you. Jehoiakim was the king of Judah who decided to withhold tribute from Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar came, surrounded the city of Jerusalem. Jehoiakim died conveniently. Jehoiachin, then, is his son who takes over. Jehoiachin surrenders, and he is taken back to Babylon by Nebuchadnezzar, and he is essentially a prisoner until Evil-Merodach releases him. Jehoiachin did not go back to Jerusalem. He stayed there and was treated as a royal foreign guest. Now, the next two guys, there's really nothing to say. Neriglissar and Evil-Merodach. I'm not even sure if they were descendants of Nebuchadnezzar necessarily. Neriglissar is mentioned in Jeremiah 39, but nothing much happens here. He's only there for less than a year. But then we come to Nabonidus, and he's important. He's going to be the last emperor of the Babylonian Empire. Now, there's something really interesting about him and unusual. He's not Chaldean. Remember, the Chaldeans are the ones who are in charge of the Babylonian Empire. He's an Assyrian. He's an Assyrian nobleman. And somehow, he managed to gain the throne in 556. I don't know how. He's just there. After a short while, though, he decided to go into semi-retirement in Arabia. And he put his young son, Belshazzar, as the co-regent over Babylon. Now, this brings us then to the event that we have recorded in the book of Daniel and nowhere else. And that is the feast of Belshazzar. What happens at this feast? Well, the background to the feast is that the Persians, the Medo-Persians, have invaded Babylon. And they have surrounded the city of Babylon. They have taken over the areas around. They've got the city surrounded. But the Babylonians aren't concerned. Why? Why aren't they concerned about a siege? What do they have that makes them feel that they are not going to be overtaken? The siege is not going to do any good. What's true about Babylon that leads them to have such confidence? Do you remember talking about the city of Babylon? Ever seen pictures of the city of Babylon? So what is it that makes them think that they can't be overtaken?
Like the fortification.
Fortifications. They have really big walls. The walls are so big that a number of chariots can go side by side on top of the walls. They have double walls. So they feel that nobody can break through. But what happens in a siege? In a siege, you don't necessarily have to break down the walls. Why? When you're laying siege to a city, why is it not necessary to break through the walls? What is a siege? Am I speaking a different language? Zach, what's a siege?
Taking something, you're destroying it.
No. Okay, so this is the problem. We don't know some basic vocabulary. A siege is when you surround a city and don't let anything in or out. That's a siege. So, what is there about a siege that would not be threatening to Babylon?
They can't leave.
That would be threatening. They can't leave. Oh no, now what are we going to do? But they don't feel that way. Why? What's the most important thing that you need to have to live that a siege would cut you off from?
Food.
Food and
Water.
water. So what was there about the city of Babylon that gave them confidence?
The river.
The river. What about the river?
They have water.
A river with water?
Yeah.
Huh. How did that happen?
Huh?
A river has water?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I think so.
Huh. Maybe you should explain that a little more because I thought all rivers had water.
I got it. What?
Can anybody help him? Matthew?
They had a river inside of Babylon, so they didn't need to go out and get water.
The river, the Euphrates River, flowed right under the walls through Babylon. So they had a constant supply of water. Water like every river has. Only this one's flowing through the city. All right, so Belshazzar has so confident that the Persians are not going to be able to impregnate the city that he throws a big feast just to show them that he doesn't care. He has a big party. And at this party, he decides, I'm going to use some of the best utensils, the best silver and gold ware that there is. And so he sent for people to go get the stuff that had been brought back by Nebuchadnezzar from the temple in Jerusalem. So he's using stuff that was supposed to be used in the temple only. It was set apart. It was sacred. It was holy for that. He brings it and uses it in his feast. All right? Then what happens? What happens while he's having this big feast?
Writing on the wall.
The writing on the wall. A hand appears and starts writing on the wall. Would that freak you out?
Yes.
Yeah. And it freaked him out too. He wasn't afraid of the Persians, but when that hand appears, start writing on a wall, that got his attention. And what was written was in a foreign language that he didn't understand. What is this? Well, there was someone there, the wife, presumably the wife of Nebuchadnezzar, was still alive, and she knew someone that would be able to interpret that for him. Who did she know? Daniel. She said, send for Daniel. So Daniel came, and he looked at that, and possibly it was actually written in Hebrew. Daniel was able to interpret it, and he said, it says, Mene, mene, tekel uparshim. So think about that for a minute. You all know what that means, right? What, your Hebrew's not that good? Does anyone remember what it meant? He said, basically it means this. You have been weighed in the balance. You know what a balance is, like a scale? You've been weighed in the balance and found wanting. That is, you came up short. That'd be kind of terrifying, wouldn't it? Because this supernatural being, whom Daniel knows is God, has written this, and he's relaying this to Belshazzar. And so, he then explains to Belshazzar that this very night, the Persians are going to defeat you. They're going to take the kingdom away from you. How did that happen? Well, we'll find out on the next unit when we get to Persia. I think we'll hold off till then. But let me tell you this, that there was a great controversy over Belshazzar in the Bible because people said in the records of ancient Babylon we find no one by the name of Belshazzar. So the Bible must be wrong, right? The records aren't wrong. It must be the Bible that's wrong, right? I mean, that's what they usually assume. But what did Belshazzar promise Daniel if he could interpret this handwriting? Do you remember? What did he promise to give Daniel? Right, third ruler of the kingdom. That's very interesting. Why would it be third ruler? Well, some time ago there were some records discovered that showed that Nabonidus was the ruler of Babylon, but since he went into semi-retirement, he made his son Belshazzar his co-ruler, and so Belshazzar could not offer Daniel half the kingdom. He could only offer him to be the third ruler. And suddenly, when that was discovered, everything fit together, and not only was the Bible right in saying there was Belshazzar who was ruling in Babylon, but even had it right that it was a third of the kingdom, not a second part of the kingdom. Isn't that cool? So, once again, the Bible was proved to be accurate. The handwriting on the wall at Belshazzar's feast. All right. Now, we finished Babylon, so that means that we are ready to, well, I shouldn't say we're ready. I don't know that you're ready, but we're going to have a quiz over Babylon tomorrow, Neo-Babylon, so prepare for that. Now, as a way of kind of winding up this, let's look over the history of Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia means what?
The region between the rivers.
Between the rivers. Thank you. We started out looking at Sumer, right? The Sumerian kingdom. And the first dynasty, or the first empire, comes out of Ur, as Sargon the First, who is a Semite, becomes king, has the first empire. His dynasty then falls to some barbarians. We have the third dynasty of Ur, the Elamites, the Babylonians rule, and these would be Amorites. They're also Semitic. Hammurabi, an Amorite. What's he known for? What's he famous for? Hammurabi. What did he develop? What do we have of his? A law code. Then we drop down. Eventually, Assyrians come in as they're ruling, but then of course they fall out of power. And we have Nebuchadnezzar, who is a Semitic Chaldean, revolts against Assyria, conquers Nineveh, and the Neo-Babylonian Empire is established. Nebuchadnezzar, his son, defeats Pharaoh Necho at Carchemish. Nebuchadnezzar rules then for a long time. Judah is taken over by Babylon, becomes a vassal state, as Nebuchadnezzar brings many of the prime people back to Babylon in this captivity. There are 3 waves of captivity, 3 visits by Nebuchadnezzar, resulting in 3 times that he brought captives back. Now, one of those, the last time ended up in the destruction of Jerusalem by Babylon, and now we've come to 539 when the Neo-Babylonian Empire falls to the Persians. So that's a brief history of Mesopotamia. Any questions? Someone's coming back to you as we run through it?